open yet. It won't open till tomorrow.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if for that final exam, then like if you look at the bottom, it says that the week opens like this Saturday, the 25th, but is that exam delayed at all, or will it actually be open ahead of time?
Let me look and I'll tell you exactly when it opens. And in case somebody is leaving on a vacation like tomorrow and asked me to open up the exam today. So as of about 5 minutes ago, it's now open if someone wanted to take it today besides them. Usually, I can do that just for one person when I thought, well, it's only 6 hours early or whatever. I'll just go ahead and do it, at their request. So let me look real quick at exam 5 and see exactly when they make it available. Because I don't mind adjusting those a little. I know that their intent is that, I don't know their intent, okay, but I know like here at EAC where I work full-time, if we make a class open, it's called open entry, open exit, which means students can just sort of work through and finish it. We're not accredited for that type of education. There's some colleges that are, right? And so if students are can just blast through it and get done early, that can get us in trouble with accreditors. But usually like a week or two is not, especially if it's like, hey, I have a situation coming up, can you open this exam early?
Yeah, I was surprised because it's this week, but it doesn't open till the middle of this week, even though it's part of this week's due date.
Yeah, because it's due by Saturday, right?
Yeah.
You'd think they'd give you at least a week. So this says, as of right now, the final exam opens April 1st, and that's no joke. Let me see.
Bummer. Okay.
When is your when would you like to take it by?
If I could take it even the day
Tomorrow?
before, that would be amazing.
Let me see. I'm just looking real quick at. So final exam is due.
Because that's Saturday and then it's due that Wednesday.
Right. It's due April 6th. I don't see any reason I can't adjust that so that it opens up like a full week before its due date. Let me see if it lets me do that. It's weird because this gets set up by like a master course shell. And some things it's like, yeah, go ahead and change them. And other things it's like, how dare you even think it?
Yeah.
I mean, it says it in the nice Utah way, but like
Sugarcoating it.
maybe we can consider some other ways we could possibly deal with this challenging issue like that, which is still like, how dare you think it? But that's what I'm talking about. Hey, you can't drink beer on the BYU class, okay? I mean, I'm not judging you, but
It's Topo Chico, it's mineral water. Yeah, I know. It only comes in glass bottles, so.
So you're bougie, that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty much.
I only drink fancy water. Okay. So yeah, so I have it now where it opens up the Wednesday before. So you should be able to access it a little early if you need to.
Thank you.
I have a feeling many people will still wait until the exact last moment and then will call me at 11 o'clock at night or text me saying that Proctorio is not working. I hope that doesn't sound
Hopefully
like I'm mocking people, but it's like, it potentially has problems. Plan a day in advance and just in case, but nope. All right, so there's one. Man, I wish every time somebody had a question for me, I could just answer it like that and be like, yeah, fixed. But you see, not usually how it works. But okay.
Well, I appreciate it.
Got any other problems I can handle for you? Okay. Any course questions? Any?
On the same lines that she was asking, so I was kind of looking in advance, and it seems like they're going to try to shove a lot in for chapter 9 and 10.
What do you mean by shove a lot in?
Like it seems like it's going to go 9 and 10 are going to go a lot faster than what we've been. So are chapter 9 and 10 just as much content?
So no, in the sense that it's a single assignment for for the two chapters. So it's not like a chapter 9 assignment and a chapter 10 assignment. And like the chapter 9 and 10 assignment, like quiz access and quiz aren't like bigger than then, it's not like 2 assignments. It might be like, 1.25 or something. It might be like 1 extra question more than a regular one, but I don't think it's even that. But it's kind of like back in the beginning where we did 1 in 12. And I feel like I hate that they do that, because they give you a really, what I would call like a cursory overview of the chapter 12 stuff, honestly, because you're not ready for it yet, which is why the textbook designer puts it at chapter 12. I've always had a beef with that. I've taught this class for years, and I'm like, you can't just throw people into cash flow. There's a bunch of stuff you need to understand before, but whoever designed it, they did ask my input and I gave it, but they chose to not follow it. So at that point, I'm like, yes, sir, I'll salute smartly and I'll carry on. So 9 and 10, whereas 9 and 10 are like concepts that are, yeah, they're good, but I don't think they're as important like as cash flow as you lead into like accounting too. So it's okay that they trim it up a little. I just gave way too much opinion there instead of just saying, no, you're good. You got this.
Okay.
If the whole world would just do it my way,
right,
I think we'd all be a lot happier. I've tried that at home. It doesn't fly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have dad power, but we all know that dad power is a limited power that it's finite. So you sort of employ it wisely. It's like political capital, dad capital, maybe it'd be a good term for it. Like, I have a limited amount and I should spend it wisely.
Yeah.
All right. But I'm, like I said, we got 1 kid left at home and he's easy.
Okay. So is the exam over everything we've done, or is it just over 9 and 10?
Oh no, it's over everything. So if you check out the the study guide that has that, they include a section for the final, and it gives you, it's honestly like the way the exam's broken down. It's like, I looked at it once before in detail, and it's like 5, give me a second and I'll tell you. Sorry, I'm like scrolling so much. Oh, there it is. All right. The final exam. The trying to think if there's a good way to get a summary of this. So I share it with you. Like I said, the study guide is pretty good. What's hard about that study guide is some students are like, man, I use that and it helps me do so good on the exam, and others are like, it's worthless. So I'm like, I don't know. So it probably depends on how you study and how you learn, right? But
yeah, I've used it and then I haven't used it. I figure I've gotten to where I just use my notes.
I say, does it change your score to use it?
No, it just takes more time. It's kind of like me rewriting my notes again, and it doesn't.
Maybe you're just a really good note taker, all right? And I know somebody out there listening to this will be like, wait, we're supposed to take notes? Let's see. I'm having a hard time finding a good way to see a good summary of this exam without, because when I pull it up and try to look at it, it just shows me the whole, like I have to go through it question by question. So I'm looking for a summary that's like, these questions are from this chapter, and I don't have that. Without going through it question by question. Oh wait, what does that do? Okay. No, it doesn't help me. Organize, edit pools. Sorry, I was trying to get you. So there's 60 total questions.
Okay.
And it honestly looks like, just roughly, okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 or 6 questions from each of those other chapters, And then yeah, like a bigger like worksheet type one. There's a few from like 9. So yeah, so let me so it's like like say 3 to 5 questions from each chapter,
Okay.
and then a few extra questions each from the more recent chapters that we haven't had an exam on yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then let me look at real quick one more thing here and see if I can give you better information. Modules. Yeah, I do feel like, I mean, the study guide is good is in that it gives you an idea if you're like way off base with your studying, but let's see. Too much scrolling. Have you ever noticed how much scrolling there is in this class? All right. Exam 5 consists of 60 multiple choice or completion questions. It's designed to assess understanding of concepts, blah, 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 covered in chapters 9 and 10. However, the exam should also be reviewed as a comprehensive exam covering the concepts of their application. All right, so it doesn't tell you how many questions here either. But I will say that 9 and 10 is the focus, and then there's a few questions each from the other chapters.
All right.
So, which is what I said before. I was hoping for more detail, but.
No, I know in some of my past classes, they just kind of like make that last whatever you're learning the exam and just call it the final. And so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, well, I think things like comprehensive finals have like fallen out of vogue, mostly because students hate them, right? And so, so in a world where your student evals actually matter as far as like whether or not you keep your job, students like to keep students, or I mean, teachers like to keep students happy. So there's this constant like tug of war between keeping students happy, but ensuring they've, when an accreditor says, how do you know they've learned the material? And saying, well, this is our process. Anyway, it's a real thing. It's where I work right now, you'll get all this praise on teachers who have really high completion rates in their class, and you're like, well, I could get high completion rates too, right? I could just remove all exams and just have it be homework. But that may or may, so there's a lot of debate about the best way to do it. Do you care about the current state of academic testing? Like, easy sounds good to me. I mean, I know I'll study it and learn it, but I don't need the threat of failure to help me learn. Anyway.
They're even doing that at grade school levels. Like some of our school district just had a survey sent out to all the kids and they had to assess their teachers. And I was like,
grade school.
I was like, I felt really bad for the teachers.
Yeah, and you want to say, I mean, no offense, but like kids don't really know very much, like they could tell you whether or not they're nice or whether or not they like them. But like, are they using an appropriate curriculum to teach me? I don't know. I mean, parents might be in a better position to have some say there, but even then, it needs to be part of a balanced scorecard, right? Not the only thing you would judge a teacher by.
Exactly.
But I do think we see the other side of it, where like you have teachers that are like, parents should have no say in children's learning, and that's insane too, right? If we want to, some of these crazy things you're hearing that they're putting out in schools, sexually charged assignments and stuff like that for kids that are, in middle school or younger, and you're like, so I don't know, some happy middle place, maybe some reasonable place where teachers have a degree of academic freedom, but they don't see themselves as preempting parents.
Right.
That's why college is good. You guys are adults.
Yeah.
If I say something stupid, you'll be like, no, don't say that, right? Like, no, sorry. That's easy. And I will probably say something stupid. That's just part of my gig. Okay, so any issues with the content in this week or last? Or are you feeling pretty confident about that?
The only thing I struggled with was the declining balance method. It seemed like when I was in the quiz, I would just times it by 2, and I didn't get the correct answer. So I'm not sure exactly where I'm messing up on that.
Okay, you want to take a look at that problem?
Um,
I mean, it wouldn't hurt us to pull it up and take a look at it.
okay, let me find it.
I was going to ask the same thing. I'm pretty good with straight line, but when we hit the double declining balance rate, that's where I have a question.
Yeah, it's got a couple things about it that are different. That it's like difference, okay, but like almost the same, but some different is confusing. Like, you know, so let's see, we're talking about, let's see, the chapter 8 quiz. Is that where you saw that one, or?
You're on mute, Sarah.
Will it not, after I've taken the quiz, will it not let me pull it back up?
Thought you could.
Okay.
You can, you have, so I think I do it the long way, but if I go back to the module and I pull up the quiz, and then you ask to like load it in another window again, it will tell you like, hey, you were awarded whatever credit, and then you can say that you want to view it and like view your attempt, and then it will show you the quiz and how you did on it.
Okay. Now I'm trying to go through it and find it. I don't remember exactly what question. I think I struggled more with the access than the actual
I
quiz.
say I'm not seeing one like that on the quiz. Maybe it's on the quiz access.
Yeah, maybe it's on the quiz access. I don't remember. That's terrible.
No, it all runs together in your brain at some point.
Yeah.
So I was really bummed when I was ready to take the exam, and I was like, hey, I like blocked everything out, and I'm like ready to go, and I go launch, and it was like, this is locked for 3 more days. I'm like, oh.
But it's in my brain right now.
Exactly. I was like, that's what they're trying to prevent me from doing.
Okay. Well, let's see here. There was number 9 that I messed up on.
On the quiz access?
On the quiz access.
Let's see. Preparing a balance sheet, that one? Is that
Those
the one?
computing revenues, expenses, and income, but that's not.
I'm on that. So I'm on quiz access, chapter 8, question 9. And it's preparing a balance sheet. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Well, it's not even giving me the full question. It's just giving me my answers when I pull it up. So I don't even know what the question was.
Okay, let me try this a different way. If I go to chapter 8, quiz access, and then I go to results, and then I go to you, and now I go to question 9. Oh, mine, it says you got 9.09 out of, you got all of the points on that one.
Oh, see me, it says 7.5 out of 10. But it was like cost of goods sold, total cost of merchandise and purchases.
Are we looking at the chapter 8 week 12 quiz access?
I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry.
Okay. I was like, I'm not finding it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I think it's number 4. Determine the year's second under that straight line method. You did miss one on there. Don't worry, you're still a good person, even though you missed them. Okay, so there's the disposal of plant assets. let's see.
That's chapter.
But that one also is straight line stuff.
I just know it took me a while to figure it out. And I was like, where am I messing up on this? I think I finally got it, but took me a while.
Right, okay. Let's see, I'm just looking through this, trying to find a good example problem we can kind of walk through for other people who might watch this too, because you're not alone if that's the one you have a hard time with, because it's confusing.
Okay, so yeah, on the straight line depreciation, I missed year end book value year 2. I remember that was kind of a struggle.
Okay, let me share my screen. Do you mind? I mean, I have yours up. Do you mind if we go through the couple of things you missed? They might help other people and might make it clearer to you.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be perfect.
All right. Some people are like, I don't want people to see that I'm human and make mistakes. Whereas I'm like, well, sorry, that's what you get with me. I make mistakes. All right. So here we have, so this is number 4 on the quiz access. And so you have all of this stuff, right? That it's the cost minus salvage value divided by the estimated useful life in years, gives you the annual depreciation expense. So your year 2 depreciation is 4,050. And so our book value is just our cost minus our salvage value. I mean, sorry, our cost minus our accumulated depreciation. So in this case, we would have, so if our cost, so we don't know what our salvage value is, which is interesting. Oh, here it is up here. The cost is 47.5, has a useful life of 10 years and a $7,000 salvage value. So if we take our cost of 47,500, let's see. And we know that our depreciation is 4,050 per year. We would say after the first year, our book value is 43,450. And after our second year, our book value is 39,400. So because with straight line, it's the same amount of depreciation each year, we can just say, yeah, so this has us calculating, I don't know why it has us calculating the second year's depreciation, because it's going to be the same each year, but I think that's a little confusing. Let's see if my answer, yeah, so that's their correct answer is the same as mine.
Okay.
So in essence, we just have to take the cost, the whole cost, not the cost minus salvage. So the whole cost minus the accumulated depreciation, which at the end of 2 years would be 2 years worth of depreciation. So 47.5 minus 40.50 twice, right? For 1 year. In essence, what we're doing with depreciation, I think sometimes, like for me at least, I get confused with like what depreciation's all about. And so sometimes it's helpful to like think about why we do it. So if I have this asset that costs you 47,500 and it has a salvage value, there's my cost. That's the COT, totally different. Has a salvage value of 7,000. So my depreciable cost, or the amount I'm going to depreciate, is the cost minus the salvage value. So what I'm saying here is I want to recognize this amount as an expense spread out over the life of the asset. So now if I say, oh, the asset has a life of 10 years, so the depreciation per year is just going to be that depreciable cost divided by the number of years. So now each year, I'm going to do a journal entry that's like depreciation expense of 4,050 and accumulated depreciation of 4,050. So if I do that each year for 10 years, at the end of 10 years, I will have recognized an expense of 40,500. But rather than taking it as a big lump in 1 year, which would be weird because I'm actually deriving benefit from the asset every year for 10 years, I'm spreading that cost out and taking a 1/10 of it as an expense each year. The reason I want to leave some salvage value is because at the end of its useful life, I intend to get rid of the asset, and probably by selling it to somebody who wants a used asset. And so if I fully depreciate it so that it now has a book value of 0, and then I sell it for any amount of money, then I have to pay taxes on that gain. Whereas if I leave a salvage value of 7,000 and then I sell it for 7,000, then there's no gain on that because I sold it for what it was worth at that point, what its book value was. So I think sometimes, like, just for me, like, reviewing this idea that, like, each year I'm going to have this entry where I recognize a portion of that cost as an expense and then move it to accumulated depreciation. And remember, accumulated depreciation is a contra asset account. So I have an asset called equipment, which is 47,500, and then I do less accumulated depreciation. So after 1 year, then the book value of my asset is the equipment, which is its cost minus accumulated depreciation. Whoops, I did minus a plus. So there we go. And so each year after a second year, now it will be, and the book value will continue to drop until that book value reaches the salvage value. Does that help conceptually or not really?
Yeah, I think when I'm in those quizzes, I try to cut corners and make it faster. And I need to get into Excel and I need to see it and not try to just mathematically do it in my head to cut corners.
Sure. No, again, you're not alone on that either. But real quick, if we just look at this second one, this is one where we have, they're doing the depreciation on the equipment on July 1st. So they purchased a machine for 176,000 on January 1st, 2020. Straight line depreciation is taken each year for 4 years. Assuming an 8-year life and no salvage value, the machine is sold July 1st during its 5th year of service. Prepare entries in the partial year, so partial year depreciation to record the sale, and then it gives you all this info. So here you do this correct entry where you recognize the depreciation expense of January 1st through July 1st, which is actually June 30th, right, of 2024. So you did that by taking the 176,400. There's no salvage value, so you divided it by 8 to find a whole year's worth, and then recognizing that January through June is 6 months, you took half of that. And so that's how you got this first one. Then on the second transaction, it says the sale under each separate situation. So the first one, the machine is sold for 88,200. So just to step other people through this, I will usually start with, like you did, debiting cash because I'm selling it, so I'm getting cash. And then crediting my accumulated depreciation account, debiting my accumulated depreciation account, which would be 176,400 divided by 8. So it's that much per year. It tells us it's already been depreciated 4 years. Plus, let's see. Why is that number right? Oh, it's not. So it's already been appreciated 4 years. And then we did this to figure out how much the half year was up to that date of sale. So that's the amount of my accumulated depreciation. Then here, I'm going to put just my cost of my machinery. So it's going to be the 176,400.
Oh, okay.
And then the difference between my cash and accumulated depreciation and the cost of the machine is the gain or loss that I make.
Yeah.
Okay. And then either on this one, it would be here we have, so we got a smaller amount of cash. We still have the same amount of accumulated depreciation. Again, this would be the cost, the 176,400.
Okay.
And that difference, since it's over here on the debit side, is going to be a loss. So the general rule I remember is if the difference is on the credit side, it's a revenue actually, so it's a gain. And if it's on the debit side, it's a expense, so it's a loss.
Yeah.
And the other thing I like that helps me remember how to do this is recognizing that when I sell an asset, I have to get the asset completely off my books. So I have to remove the asset itself, which is always listed at its cost, and remove its associated accumulated depreciation account. The asset's going to have a debit balance, so I'll have to credit the asset, and the accumulated depreciation will have a credit balance, so I'll have to debit it. So I know how much cash I'm getting. I can know what the accumulated depreciation and what the asset cost. If I know those three, the difference is the gain or loss. So that's the process my brain goes through when I'm doing that, if that's helpful at all.
Yeah. So the other question I have is if there is a salvage value, we minus that. So say it was a salvage value of like $1,000. So would we go ahead and minus that from the 176,400?
Only in calculating the depreciation. Because the salvage value is just some number we've said we want there to be a balance left on this at the end. But when we're selling it, it doesn't matter what we wanted there to be. What matters is what the balance actually is at the time of sale.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just spewing forth stuff.
No, you're good.
All right. And then here's the Diaz company. They have a machine that costs 125,300, accumulated depreciation of 94,000. Prepare the entry to record the disposal of the machine in each of the separate ones. So in the first one, the machine needed extensive repairs and was not worth repairing, so they just disposed of it. They like threw it away, I guess, or whatever, or had a recycler haul it off. So in that case, they didn't get any cash, right? So we are going to still debit the accumulated depreciation, and we're going to credit the cost, the 125,300.
Okay.
And then the difference between those two is going to be, since it'll be on this side, will be a loss. So really we'd have debit to accumulated depreciation, debit to a loss of whatever the difference between those is, 21,300. And then a credit to the asset machine of 125,300.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only difference between this transaction and the rest of these is that they didn't get any cash.
Yeah.
But in
And
every other sense, it should work the same.
That's what hung me up. I was like, wait a second, I'm missing. I knew I was missing something. I couldn't remember what it was at the time.
I was hoping to find one on here that was the double declining balance, just because that is hard for a lot of people, but I don't see one.
It might have been in the access instead of the, or this is the access. It may have been
Right.
in the
And
quiz.
I looked through the quiz and didn't see one either.
Okay.
So I'm like, I don't know.
They're making me learn stuff and then not even quizzing me on it.
Yeah, those jerks. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. Well, I hope that's helpful. I'm sure there'll be people out there in YouTube land that this will be helpful for, to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I had the same question. So
yeah.
If nothing else, we helped someone today. Like that.
Right.
All right. Anything else? You good?
Now that I'm good, I think.
Okay. Well, don't be afraid to reach out. Unfortunately, I always have this window between when I hit, when I get an email and I can respond, and I try hard to make it 24 hours, but I know when you need help, you don't want it in 24 hours or even 4 hours. You want it now, but that's impossible for me since I have a job, another job besides this one. Anyway, but all right. Well, thanks very much. And
yeah,
I
thank you.
Hope you have a great night.
You too.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.